Hey everyone, welcome to Stream School, powered by sidelineHD, the podcast for parents, coaches, and streamers who want to capture every moment that matters. Each episode of Stream School will break down the gear, the setups, and the extra credit tips and tricks that make streaming easier for you and way more fun for your fans. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about some of the gear that I wish I had getting started streaming several years ago at this point. My first time out streaming was not successful. I mean, I recorded the stream, but it was mostly of the umpire. I did catch some baseball action and there was a lot of wind and I was stuck behind home plate the entire time. I didn't get a lot. So what I'm going to give to you today is the tips and tricks that I wish that I had getting started with streaming. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to jump right in and get started streaming. You don't need a lot. And today we're going to talk about just the bare minimum to get started. I will give you some extra credit, tips and tricks along the way that you can bring that will really plus up your stream, right? So if you want to have fewer what happened to the stream text messages from the grandparents that are watching, and that's everybody's goal, follow along for today's episode. I'm Mike Ressler. I'm the CTO of sidelineHD. And I got started streaming 4 years ago, I think. So let's lean on those 4 years of experience and I'll show you some of the things that I wish that I had brought to my very first game streaming. So before we get started, let's cover the very basics of what it takes to stream a game in sidelineHD. So you're gonna need 2 devices with you at the field. The first device we're gonna use is a device that will film the game. That's gonna be our camera. That's what's capturing the video. The second device is what we're gonna use to score the game. That's gonna drive the scoreboard. The sidelineHD magic is what kicks in, combines those two, and together those devices produce the stream that your friends and family see. In this episode, we're gonna focus on the very simple gear you need to get started filming. So that's for the one device that is probably gonna be up mounted on a fence. Let's turn over here and I'll show you some of the beginner gear. So this zip tie is a reusable one. I'm sure most folks are very familiar with the non-reusable version. You can certainly use a non-reusable version. All we're gonna do with this zip tie is just zip tie a camera up to a fence, and that's it. I also bring with me some Velcro straps. You can find these on Amazon. We'll provide links for all of this. You can find them in the description. And really that's all you need. Something like a zip tie and a Velcro strap. That's all we have to do is just get our camera up on a metal fence. That'll do it. That's all we really need. So from here and from these very simple beginnings, we can start to graduate in Stream School and go to the next level. Now, the first thing to talk about when we go to the next level is a phone clip, right? So this is one of my favorite phone clips or phone clamps. This is a small rig phone clip, and it has a couple nice features that I'll draw your attention that make it my favorite, right? So we've got a 1/4-20 insert here and a 1/4-20 insert here. 1/4-20 is what you're gonna be using to attach things together pretty much all over the place. So this phone clip or phone clamp is going to be great. It also provides, this is known as a cold shoe, but all we really need is a phone clip like this. There are lots of them out there. Small rig makes some nice sturdy ones. And then all you need is something to secure your phone to the fence. Now, depending on the fence and the backstop, how you're set up at the field, you might have a fence post, a main post right behind the umpire, right dead center. Those are my favorite. Then I can use something like this. So this is Maximus.com, and I think he runs an Etsy shop as well. This is just a door hinge with some magnets, and I'll tell you, this ends up being one of the easiest setup and teardowns that you can get once you're at the field. So you'll just have your phone clip all set up. And here's our fence, right? So now I've got a nice post right behind home plate and I want to attach my phone to the fence. That's it. And I can walk away. That's pretty great. That is one of the fastest setups that I have. You always want to be mindful that balls aren't going to fly back and hit your phone. So try to give it a little bit of space from the fence. A little pro tip on that one. And one of the reasons why this is my favorite is because it does have this on top. This is a cold shoe, and this is a spirit level. So the spirit level is gonna help you get it level while you're streaming so that your fans don't have to watch the game like this. See it all the time, but it really adds quite a bit, and it's very inexpensive. There's some links for this one. This one ends up being a 3D printed one. And you can certainly follow me on Printables, or link will be there. I've got a couple other things on there. If you've got a 3D printer, it ends up being a superpower. So that is this first mount, this one by Maximus, and it ends up being a magnet. The other one that I love, also by Maximus, is this one. It's a cinch. Another quarter 20. Everything here is gonna be quarter 20. You're gonna have your camera, your phone that's acting as a camera, added onto this little arm. We didn't really show that off on the other one, but something like this, pretty easy, gives you lots of movability and maneuverability for your camera while you're trying to get that shot lined up perfectly. And then this is what we're gonna be strapping to the fence. In here is where you're gonna clip it right to the fence. Clip in and then strap it down. And that should be as easy as that is. And then from here, you can arrange your phone so that it goes up on the fence. Again, about the same thing. You want it nice and close so that you don't see any fence. But one of the reasons why I prefer the magnet to this one is that this, while it's mounted on the fence, and that works great, if a ball hits the fence, your entire audience is gonna shake along with you and with the camera. So I try to, if possible, use that magnet. You want a nice, sturdy connection. But if you don't have a sturdy connection, I think the humble tripod is your friend. And so here we have our trusty tripod. So I'm typically using tripods when I've got a net behind the backstop. So it's not always a fence. Sometimes you'll have nets behind you and there's not really a good spot to mount something that might be magnetic. Having a tripod is very inexpensive and very useful for not just baseball, but lots of different sports. And you're just gonna mount your phone right to the tripod. Should be pretty easy to get set up. Put it as far back as you want. You can usually raise and lower these things pretty easily. So you can get yourself framed up pretty nice. The taller tripods get more expensive. The nice light ones can get more expensive, but a pretty basic one will do you for a good season or two. Just treat it with care and you'll do well. All right, and then the other thing that I'll show off here is this LynkSpyder clip. Now this one looks very daunting, but really is not. There's a lot to do to get it set up, so it's a little bit of a longer setup, but your camera is gonna be held nice and secure up on the fence. So this crazy looking contraption is just gonna hook on to the fence in all these different corners, and then you've got something down below right here where you're gonna use that same quarter 20, and this is where you're gonna mount the camera. And you have a lot of degrees of freedom. You can move this all around so you can frame up the perfect shot as you've got it up on the fence. So you can avoid all of the links and hopefully get your camera pretty close. It'll be held nice and secure. It can take a ball. I know mine has taken several balls. Doesn't look worse for the wear and does a nice job. All right, so the next segment we're gonna be talking about is once you've got your phone mounted, you've got a couple phone clips or camera clips to get your camera attached to the fence and mounted securely so you can film all the action and it can look real nice. I wanna make sure that you've got what you need to go late on a Sunday, right? So your team's in on the playoffs and you wanna make sure that you're not missing any of the action. So obviously the first thing that springs to mind is something like this, a battery backup, right? So mine gives me a nice little readout, tells me I'm at 100%, very good. And this is a pretty beefy 87 watt, I think it's a 20,000 milliwatt hour, which is the capacity. So the larger milliwatt hour that you get, the more capacity you'll have to go later into the weekend in case you play late and go all the way to the finals. Now this is pretty great. You want to make sure that you're going to attach this close to your camera. You can use all sorts of cords and cables if you want to just have it resting on the ground. Again, we can always go back to our trusty zip ties and Velcro straps if we need. We can get this securely fashioned onto a fence, and that's all well and good. But one of my favorite plus-ups, and then that ends up being a nice to have at the field, is something like this, a little tool belt. So this tool belt is pretty nice. This clip right here opens up, and you can slide this right into the fence, and then clip this one onto the fence, and then slide this right into the tool belt pocket. And now you've got a nice little holder and a spot for extra cords and some extra things that you might be bringing. Look at that, I got cords everywhere. You're gonna wanna have cords in places that you forgot that you had cords, because you're always gonna need them. And this one is a great spot to have all these extra cords because you know you're gonna use them for your battery backup. And this will be mounted pretty close to your camera or to your phone. All right, so sidelineHD is not just a baseball company. We stream lots of sports, and for field sports or for larger court sports, you might want to be able to follow the action. So I'm going to introduce you to our next piece of gear here, and that is this on top of the humble tripod that we have here. So this piece of kit of gear right here, this is a fluid head. So those in the AV and movie world certainly know what this is, but this is a fluid head so that you can pan and tilt in a nice smooth fashion. So as you're following the action, it is moving nice and smooth. This is great for basketball. This is one of my favorite pieces of gear for basketball. I've seen a lot of people use it for volleyball then as well, but certainly you're gonna need something like this for hockey, for soccer, anything out on the field. Now, pro tips on this, you're gonna wanna make sure that the base that it's on is nice and level, so you don't want it facing down like this and having to move things all around, because if you can see the head here, it starts to twist a little bit. So you have to make sure that your head is perfectly level. A little bit of a pro tip there. Make sure that your head is level, and then you're gonna have a nice experience. You'll be able to follow it from one basket to the other, or from one goal to the other. All right, now you're ready to stream your very first game with sidelineHD. Hopefully I showed you that it is not too intimidating to do. It is very easy to get yourself started streaming with sidelineHD. You just need something to hold your phone and another device that takes stats. So you can check out my buddy Ron's video right over here, or the link is in the description. He's gonna go through and show off how he gets started and how easy it is for him getting started at the field. And we've got a 2026 streamer gear guide on the sidelineHD website. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what gear you think we should be covering here on Stream School. And if you like this sort of content, please subscribe. We'll be doing this as often as we can. Very interested to see your setups and what you've got. And March is Streamer Appreciation Month at sidelineHD, where you can show us pictures of your setup. So the link is right here. Please go through and nominate your favorite streamer or your setup and share their setup with us. We're giving out some swag bags for those streamers, and a fun surprise is in there that is coming off of my 3D printer. So check it out down below, and hopefully I'll see you here next time for the next edition of Stream School.